What's up guys, this is ScherBR talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be doing the first part of the full review of Romancing Festival Mech banner. This is a special banner with 10 different robots and you have 10% summon rates. That's double the normal, and you will not have any off-banner styles. Every time you pull a double S, it will be one of the 10 robots. That is actually pretty nice because it just guarantees a featured, but it may be hard to get what you want. Some people may just do some pulls and get something and be done without having to go as far as Speedy. There's some value on just doing some summons. Well, I will be talking about 5 styles on this video, 5 in the other one, and let me tell from the start, I do believe that this banner has some good value. I'll be giving it a silver award. Yes, even though we have 10 robots, all of them have some problems with their design, I have to say. To not make them perfect or better than what we have, they're more like options to many people that miss it out on past styles. None of them will be totally meta. They are not here to be the best in what they do, more like side grades most of the time. So let's start talking about Mech. Well, Mech's now using swords instead of guns, but can still inherit gun skills just fine. We have 110% STR and dexterity. Those are good values. We have 80% endurance and will. Those are also good values. As you can see, you can choose to use swords, guns, can take physical and magical damage just fine. Agility is also good on 90%. Status distribution is pretty good here on Mech. Well, for passives we have High Detox Tension, that increases damage at all times by 20% and cleans itself from all ailments on the end of turn. Very good for remembrance so you don't get confused or charmed. I'll talk about the third passive first. Great Overtension increases damage by 30% at all times, 45% for combo, 60% on Overdrive. Overdrive is good against the Wyvern, for example, if you still have difficulty there, but we have 50% at all times here. That's good enough for a character that's not exactly just farming. Now, the second passive is called Action Switch, and this is an amazing passive also found on UDX Darius. It has 4 different effects, but it's limited into the attacks that you are using. First, if you are using an attack with slash effect, you grant yourself an attack boost that increases damage by 10%, lasts for 3 turns, and also recover 2 BP. The second effect, when attacking with sun attacks, you grant yourself a defense boost, decreases damage taken by 20%, stacks, and also lasts for 3 turns, and will also recover HP by a very small effect, should be around 180s. So, well, you can stack 3 attack boosts for a maximum of 30% damage increase. Now, for the defense boost, you have something else. You stack it as well, but it is multiplicatively. So the first stack is 20, the second one 36%, and so on. So, you don't have any damage reduction passive with Mech. That means that on start of the fight, it's gonna take a little more damage, then eventually will just grant himself defense boosts and heal as well. So pretty nice for remembrance, and he uses swords. Well, if you are having difficulty there, this character will be nice since it will just not need so much support to sustain. It has a lot of different effects. So Action Switch relies on slash and sun attacks, and the good thing, all 3 skills this Mech has access to have both elements. That means that every time you attack, you get all 4 effects. The first skill is called Legendary Sword. It has the Power and 12 mod, that's pretty good for free, but it carries delay. But you should still use this because a normal attack will be only slash. You will not grant the defense boost in the recover. Then the second skill and the third one have the same amount of power, that being 44. It's extremely close to double S power. So you have fast attacks that will hit either column or a row of foes with slash and sun. Well, for 8 PP, we do have some skills that already reach triple S damage if you consider then a single target for bosses. Well, sadly, Mech will be lacking a little if you were thinking about single target damage. For farming, it's very nice. It's strong, but comes with one big problem. You cannot use those 2 attacks twice in a row. You lack 1 BP, and that's when Anya comes. She can give the 1 BP that you are lacking and will also buff STR to do more damage, but you have to bring 2 units and only 3 trainees. But for new players, this is actually very nice, since sometimes you summon for one character to do column damage, another one to do roll damage. Now you have both and you have it fast, with good damage. But he's not as strong as someone like Leonard that can solo stages with ease. Well, we have Lion Dash, an 8 BP attack that's already double S power, double elements, and as long as he kills enemies, he just can keep attacking. So Leonard can solo easily, while Mech will only solo events. On story farming, not even Enya will allow Mech to attack 3 times with the same skill. So a little more limited, like most characters in this banner, because they, well, belong to a 10% banner where you can get a lot of value with less pulls. Also, the problem of triggering effects with Sun and Slash attacks is back inheritance, because, look, the Platinum style has Blunt, Pierce, and Heat attacks. They won't trigger the effects. The Limited style has only Legendary Treasure, a fast attack that deals Slash and Pierce. Can use it for Final Island, for example, but you don't use this anymore in other stances. So this Mech is strong. Will work well for farming, for Final Island, and even for Remembrance, because he self-sustains, has good damage. It's not real nuker, you have to remember that, but can work in many different situations. It's a good style that will receive a plain double S grade in the tier list. The next character is T260G, and we have very good status distribution here. Very high dexterity with 115%, the same values for endurance and agility. They are above 100% and still have 90% intelligence and 73% will. Well, a hybrid unit that does not suffer from status distribution. For passives, we have that Toxinator Charge 2 that will cleanse itself on the end of turns from all status elements, and 1 BP. That's nice. It also starts the fight with 12. That's just like Matriarch passive, but even better. The second one is called Safety Assurance 2. On the start of a turn, we have 25% chance to grant itself damage block. For 1 turn, you will not take any sort of damage. We recover all HP by a small effect that should be around 900 and also 2 BP. So plenty of effects, but relies on a chance. Not reliable, but good when it triggers, especially on long fights. And then the third is High Protect Tension. We have 20% damage increase, and damage taken will reduce it by 30%. That means that T260G will not take much damage in long fights, but fails to have high damage from passives. For skills, we have Re-V Max. This is different on global. It does not use BP, but uses 1 LP. It will recover the user HP. When you max level this, it will heal around 1.5 thousand. And also gives 2 BP, a heat up with medium effect. That means that it will increase damage by 10% for the whole fight. Will apply Guard Down small for 3 turns. That means that you're gonna take more damage. It should be around 10% more damage. Does not make much difference because we already have high protect tension and high status, but it's a penalty. And will also grant the user System Overload. This is effect that triggers on overdrive starting from the next turn. When you use overdrive, you're gonna have this Cosmic Rave as a chase. It's a triple S attack, single target, blunt, and heat. Well, this is the attack that you have with the past version. As you can see here, Cosmic Rave has 73 mod. It's pretty good for triple S, pretty close to 4S, but it will be triggered on rank 1, so it has some limitation on damage. But since you're getting at least heat up here to increase damage for the whole fight, one interesting thing is that when you use Re-V Max, you charge 20 points of Overdrive Gauge. Well, it usually takes between 4 turns to get to Overdrive. You use this when you need to heal, get some BP, increase your damage, and when you get to Overdrive, you have an extra attack. The second skill is called Quick Ray. For 6 PP, you have a C power attack with blunt and heat. That's actually pretty impressive. It's also fast and carries confusion chance. Remember that we do have 90% intelligence, so pretty good chances to inflict confusion, especially for the current Remembrance battle against Wuhan. We need to inflict either confusion or charm. We do have plenty of options to confuse, like Rabitt, Fuse and Mailing, but both Fuse and Mailing rely on chance via passive. T260G will be the best one to use this. But one interesting thing is that Blunt and Heat reminds me of Socho. Socho has the same thing with Missile. It's a 6 VP attack as well, but it's not fast. So T260G will do plenty of damage because I know that Socho can solo some waves. The thing is that T260G doesn't have the same damage passive. Socho has 60% while T260G has only 20%. But both can work together if you want, like you place Socho in the front, T260G in the back, in a Magia fight formation, they will clear waves. But, well, two characters, it would depend on the situations. Then the third attack is called Glider Rush. For 11 VP, you have slash and hit damage, 2 hits. And 2 hits of 8 power is like 4S damage, guys. But there is a penalty. Each hit will take recoil damage of 40% HP, so T260G will be left with only 20% after using this attack, but it hits a row of foes. If you have an event with only one wave, well, it's sure that T260G will be able to solo farm, but not exactly always. On the fire element, T260G will compete with Virgil. Virgil does have a lot of damage for turn 1 with Beat Blast. That is already 4S damage. But let's say that you have only one wave, you can bring both and they will do explosive damage. There are formations that will work for using them together. As for slash damage, we got something recently, that is Shimmering Slash. You get this from Amplify, and it's triple S and fast. So, well, there will be plenty of characters to replace the slash part. The hit one is pretty strong if you don't have Virgil, for example. In the end, the strategy of T260G is to just sustain damage, then use Revi Max when you need to heal, and then occasionally do more damage on overdrive because of system overload. But T260G fails to have high enough damage passives for farming, but with the Remembrance Gun, damage will still be okay. Now, this style also helps inheritance in cycles. You can inherit Starlight Shower and use it 2 times in a row for farming. Maybe sometimes it will do enough damage to kill waves, but it's unlikely to happen. You could also inherit Cosmic Rave, but don't do it. Instead, go to the A style and amplify Proton Rocket. This one is cheaper and it hits a row with both blunt and hit damage. It can help because we already have pretty high intelligence to instant kill enemies. Besides, I don't see any other inheritance making much sense besides Mud Spread if you want a cheap attack. Okay, this is ScherBR from the future and we tested how System Overload works. And it's pretty interesting. When you use Revi Max, you will get 1 stack of Cosmic Rave. You can actually stack 5 times this attack, and when you use Overdrive, you have 5 chases with Cosmic Rave, dealing a lot of damage. Remember that you also get 50% damage increase by stacking Heat Up 5 times. So T260G will have 70% damage increase by that point. So if you want to kill a boss by turn 6, maybe you are using Leon 1 and you are loading the gun, and then when you reach that turn, you will be buffing with Cindy using Weapon Box. That buffs Dexterity, Morale up, and Secret Technique for guns. So the damage will be very, very high. Some bosses will melt by turn 6 by only 1 use of the System Overload if you charge it 5 times. But you may not need to charge 5 times one turn after the another because it's kind of a waste of BP. Why? You start the fight with 12, you have a chance of getting plus 2 BP by the Safety Assurance. You also get 2 BP by Revi Max. So let's say you start, you use Revi Max 2 times, you're probably close to 20 BP, you can actually attack. Use like something like Proton Rocket Plus. You do triple S damage, and then after that, you can just keep using Revi Max to regain BP. You could also use Glider Rush here and there, but this attack here, besides being very powerful, has recoil damage. It will put T260G in a bad position. If you're playing with RNG, you can get the damage block to trigger, but you can also not get that and just die if you attack before the enemy. If T260G is attacking after the enemy, will be okay, because then the next turn, Revi Max will be used as a fast. So you should decide if you want to use Revi Max 5 times in a row for turn 6 damage, or if you want to balance it out, do a little damage in between the turns, charging better, and then reach the max potential, where you unleash all the damage from Leon, T260G, and sometimes even Chooser, depending on how many damage dealers you can place in your squad. I do believe this is cool, and it works super well for events like the Pandemonium, especially against Creator, because you have 9 waves of enemies, and then the wave number 10 is just one boss. Against Shadowing Fight is not the same case, because you have 2 bosses in the end. After you use the System Overload, you lose the chase that you charge it. So it's 1 bullet, 1 time, and it's over. It's not a better strategy than Chooser or Leon, but I'm just explaining how it works, and you can take benefit of very fast nuke strategies. The only problem is that in the future, some bosses will have multiple HP bars, and when they get killed, they kinda revive. You cannot go to the second bar without finishing that turn. That means that T260G will not work so well, and you're better off using someone else. So T260G is a strong style, but it doesn't have many damage passives on turn 1. When farming, the damage won't be as high as some other farmers, but you do have plenty of different rotations if you have inheritances from past versions. T260G will be very strong if you know how to use it on the max potential. That is, like I said, going for fast nukes, charging the bullets, and then unleashing it all on overdrive with the help of buffers like Cindy, alongside other nukers like Leon and Chooser. But it does have less utility than those 2 very powerful units, because they are much more easier to use. They will work everywhere, while T260G will require a boss that will die in a less number of turns. If the fight takes more than 10 turns, well, T260G will not help you as much as Leon and Chooser. But if you miss it, Chooser, I do believe that T260G can be a very good partner to your Leon. Based on all of this, T260G deserves at least an SS plus grade and will be observing the damage potential that things can change in the future. The next character is Rabitt, and we have a focus on dexterity and agility, average levels for endurance and will, and some intelligence because of 1 attack. For passives, the Tox Heal Charge on the end of a turn recovers HP by around 170s, and Cleanse from ailments starts the fight with 12 BP. The second one, Consuming Pills, when landing an attack, has 25% chance to recover 1 BP to itself, and then 1 BP to everyone, including itself. That's cool, right? This is the same passive that we saw on Leonid Human Style. As you can see here, the unit can attack 2 times. Well, Leonid and Rabitt will have the same chances to trigger the passive, because Rabitt can also attack 2 times exactly like Leonid, but more into that later. The third one is fired up 7, increasing damage by 40% at all times. The only damage passive good enough. Well, we don't have damage reduction here, so it means that Rabitt is actually gonna take some damage, but at least it heals itself on the end of turns. As for our skills, we have Sharp Shot Plus, a single target attack with 1 BP cost, C power, and 15 mod. It's an okay attack, but you want to save VP with Rabitt. The second skill is called Rabbit Shot. For 10 VP, you have a single target attack with blunt and stun damage, double S power, 48 mod. The skill itself is not that strong. Well, we will get some skills with 6 BP cost and double S damage, but it comes with a chase called Rabbit Support Fire for 3 times. Over the next turn, when you attack, you will get this skill as a chase, and it's a single target attack with blunt and stun and deep power. Well, this is exactly the same strategy as Chooser. Well, we have Claw Bait Ejection, double elements. In Chooser case, it's only 9 BP cost, but the chase is just the same. Once it ends, you have to charge again, and you can stack the chase multiple times. But the problem is that Rabbit is very different from Chooser. Chooser has 3 stacks of defense up that decreases damage by 10%, buffs all status by 5% when attacks, and always recover 1 BP when attacks. This is super important and allows Chooser to attack multiple times, besides even a chance to heal himself. Well, in the case of Rabbit, at least we are doing different damage. Blunt and Stun versus Slash and Pierce. But because we don't have a guarantee to get BP back, you get way less when you want to charge many bullets. Well, let's say you start the fight with Rabbit Shot. Then, if you don't trigger Consuming Pulse on turn 1, well, on the next turn you will at least have 2 chances, because you will attack 2 times. If you don't get lucky and don't trigger Consuming Pulse on turn 3 as well, you have to wait to turn 4 to have enough to use Rabbit Shot again. That means that even when you are unlucky, you will always be attacking 2 times with Rabbit. 2 chances of triggering Consuming Pulse. And remember, he gets 2 BP to himself and 1 BP to the party. And when it triggers, you will be able to use Rabbit Shot more often. So there will be times where you'll be attacking 3 times, and you will also be helping people in your party to get more BP to shorten their cycles. The only problem is that, well, Rabbit is too fragile. Only 71 endurance and will. It's gonna take plenty of damage. The only good thing is that it has a very small heal. But you can give him the Proof of War Tower if he's the only character in the party without defensive passives. Rabbit Shot is nice, and it's the evolution of Leonid. Leonid, human style, was used for BP batteries, because he already has Consuming Pulse. He was the first, and he also attacks 2 times. And, well, Leonid has very low endurance. If you like Leonid playstyle, you will like Rabbit, because he's just the superior version. The third skill is called Satellite Beam. It's a double S full AoE attack with Blunt and Sun that will instant kill Rabbit. It's used for farming to kill a wave. It's pretty powerful, and with the Remembrance gun, you're gonna do a lot of damage. But then your character is dead. It's just for 1 wave and you'll be done with that. But it's much stronger than, for example, Coppelia Artemis Soul. 45 mod, and it's costly with 13. And we got now Blunt and Sun as extra. So that is cool enough. And Gunners usually do more damage than Martial Artists and are easier to use on different formations. Now, the problem with Rabbit is that his inheritance don't help. Bound Shot will become double S power in the future, and you can inherit that for an occasional overdrive turn with your whole squad where you don't have 10 BP, and you can use it just to do extra damage. Besides, the other skills don't make much sense. Rabbit is good if you don't have Chooser, and he also does some damage, something that Global X Silver does as well. He's not as strong as Chooser, he's not as strong as Global X Silver, but can act as an inferior replacement and, well, can be used as a BP battery in the place of Leonid. He's not the best on anything he does, but he actually does a lot. Will be strong for AoE farming, can help in BP generation, can do actually good damage. The only problem is being too fragile. Well, I guess that is reason enough to give him an SS Plus grade. He looks a little better than some of the other robots. The last one is Nacht Zweiger, a robot that equips martial arts weapon with a focus on STR and agility. Those two have 115%. The other status are not that good, with will and endurance being average levels, but you will only be using Nacht Zweiger for farming. Well, for passives we have the Toxinator Charge 2. Start the fight with 12, gets 1 BP every turn, and cleans itself from ailments. It's a better passive than Matrix. Then the second one is called Knockdown Energy Attack. On odd turns, that being 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, you get a heat up of 10% increasing damage that lasts for the whole fight. And when killing targets, you recover 3 BP. That is the same passive as Halloween Silver. But it's much better now on Nacht Zweiger because we do have skills that are actually strong to, well, use good cycles. The third one is fired up 7, so 40% increasing damage. Since you get the first heat up stack on the start, Nacht Zweiger actually has 50% when he's farming. Now for skills, the first one is called Raging Drive, a full AoE attack with 4 BP that also takes recoil damage of 30% of the max HP. I guess they did that because normally C power attacks cost 6 instead of 4. The second one, it's called Drift Turn for 6 BP. You have an S power attack with 39 mod, kinda on the mid, and does column damage. Well, S power with 39 may be enough to solo farm if you have enemies aligned in a column. That's good enough. and can be used 3 times in a row without any external help. Then the third is called Romancing Exciting Curse. 12 VP and 1 LP for plenty of effects that are actually much better on theory than on reality. It's a support fast, then you enter an evasion stance for 1 turn, you will not take damage. Then you buff STR and agility by 40% or 50% if you manually level this up. Then you get a hit up that will increase damage by 20% for the whole fight. You also trigger a guard down, decreasing your resistance by 25. Lasts for 2 turns, actually for only 1 since you'll be evading by turn 1. And that's it. But the problem here is that it's costing too much BP. You start the fight and you will use 12 BP, everything you have. Then you have to start from scratch. And then the next turn you cannot use Drift Turn, for example. You have to wait 1 more turn to use it. And then after that, at least you can use again. But why does that help? You will trigger this STR and agility buff, that's pretty cool. But then, if you are not evading, you are doing this for damage. And you will use a normal attack on the next turn. But you can do different. You can actually use normal attack on turn 1 and turn 2, and then by turn 3, you will use this skill, Romancing Exiting Custom, and then you will have BP left to use Drift Turn more times in a row. I guess this makes much more sense because you are buffing STR, agility, and heat up to do more damage. If you're not doing more damage, well, you are wasting the skill. But still, I believe it is costing too much. I would much prefer it to cost only 2 LP but 0 BP in order to actually use this, since it's just blunt damage. We have Leon and he dominates blunt damage for boss fights. Also, Nacht Zweiger does not have damage reduction passives. That means that he's actually gonna take plenty of damage on boss fights, and it's hard to justify his utility since, well, most people have Leon anyway. For inheritance, we have Pedal to the Metal. It's an 8 power 31 mod attack that hits roll, but only 31, right? It's not as strong as the Drift Turn attack. It will not be capable of soloing most of the time, but the good thing is that it's fast. You can actually use it on farming and place that Swagger in the back if you want, especially on the Magia fight formation, and use someone else in the front line. Then we have Full Throttle. This is a support skill that will recover HP by around 1,500 on max level if you manually level it up, and also grants morale up, increasing damage by 25% for 2 turns. Actually only 1, the next turn. Full Throttle is good to heal if you need, because you will need if you are bringing Nacht Zweiger in a boss fight. And then the last attack is called Rampage Attack. This is actually the best inheritance because it's a full AoE attack and you can actually use this 2 times in a row. Look, it's S power and costs only 9 BP. 39 mods is enough to solo farm some events. You can actually just place Nacht Zweiger on a hurricane formation that increases both STR and agility. Use Rampage Attack 2 times if the enemies are weak to blunt. Well, that's all you're gonna need to kill both waves. So the good thing is that this version of Nacht Zweiger is an evolution, but it requires past inheritance, kinda limiting the full potential of the character if you didn't summon for the first one. The first one was released on a SaGa Soul banner. Those are extremely rare, but are kinda likely to happen in the future. But if you happen to get Nacht Zweiger, use it, but you should not focus on this robot, in my opinion. You will be able to find column attacks with blunt damage in the future. Without inheritance, Nacht Zweiger gets an SS- grade. With inheritance, I guess he gets pretty close to an SS+, since Rampage Attack is very powerful and is strong enough for farming on solo mode. Now, this will be the end of this video. I talked about the most popular robots. The next video, I'll talk about the remaining ones. I just have to say that this banner will receive a silver award because of the number of characters you can get here. But like I said on the start, none of them are game breaking or must-haves. Someone get something and drop off the banner. None of them are exactly worth a pity in my opinion. But that's mine. What is yours? Please say here on this comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you soon on the next video. Bye.